Not done yet. No light. Ouch. You can do that. Low beam. Go away.
So oh, the most amazing things people sent. Another one was torpedo, a wire guided torpedo. So you fire one of those and there's a dispenser cable and that pays out, and until that cable reaches its maximum length and snaps, you can update target information from the computer in the control room to the torpedo, so it's on a more accurate course. The maximum number of torpedoes in the fore end would have been 24, have one in each tube, and the other 18 would have been on the racks. You've got 3 tiered racks and have some on the centre line. But it'd be mix and match, because if your mission requires you to carry extra crew or special forces, this is their home. They take out some weapons, put the trays on we've got here, and mattress, sleeping bag, home sweet home for the special forces. Also the grating you're standing on would not normally be rigged. This is the escape platform. So if the submarine's in trouble, the crew make their way into here. This is the forward escape compartment, or into the after escape compartment. Each has got a snake escape tower. Each man will put on one of the red suits and get a breathing unit out. The breathing units are all stored in the red cross lockers. Escape suits behind here. And breathing units plug into this dedicated air supply here. And then you've got 2 choices. If you've got time, one man at a time can go out through the escape tower. It's a case of flood and drain the tower. But if you have to get off in a hurry, they'll do a rush escape. So a canvas trunk's lowered down from the bottom of the escape tower, comes down to about 3 foot above the deck. You plug in your breathing unit, make sure it's working, then they flood this compartment up so you can open the top hatch against the sea pressure. So water could be up to here. You can't breathe this atmosphere because it's under pressure, so you have to use your breathing unit. So the nearest person, deep breath, duck under, and buoyancy will take you up to the surface. And everybody else then just moves from mouthpiece to mouthpiece until it's their turn to go up through the tank. Modern policy would be wait for rescue and a submersible come and collect you. So forward escape compartment. So we've got 3 hatches like this to go through. From here to the control room, it's basically all accommodation. 2 ways to get through the hatch. If you want to swing through, each hatch has got a bar above it. So hold on to the bar, both feet on the ridge, and just come through slowly. Or otherwise, hand through side by side. Either way, just check before you stand up, you're not going to break any of our equipment.
Quando spiaggia? Quando è rossa la luce pronta. Oh, I hate that. I'm going to slide for it.
Well, you've had people walking through, because this is the only deck can walk through the submarine. So the only privacy you get really is in the bunk with the curtain pulled. As you go through the submarine, you'll see there's no showers on board. You'll see on this deck level 6 wash basins and 3 toilets, and there are a number of wash basins below in one area of the submarine you can get down. So freshwater was limited to what they carried on tanks. So on a long patrol, if you weren't doing any port visits, each man was limited to 1 wash basin of water a day to wash himself and his clothes. Not so they're allowed to bring that many clothes on board because they've just not the storage space, so 2 change of clothes at the most. So I guess after 12 weeks conditions could be a bit thick on board with the atmosphere. Sometimes they'd have no washing competitions just to add to the atmosphere, while with some money. When you go through the engine room, the engine room on this submarine is just a battery charger. This was always being driven by electrical motors, this submarine, even on the surface. And to do that, there are battery compartments from here virtually to the control room. If you've been to the museum, you may have seen one of the battery cells. Stand about that high, that square, 2 volts each, 440 of them on board. So the weight of the battery is 300 tonnes of battery on board. That's as much as 85 elephants on top. So give you some idea of the battery. Which means the submarine has to recharge the battery quite regular. So they will either come up to periscope depth. If you're somewhere where you don't want to surface, you've got to stay covert. Come up to periscope depth and put the other two masts up, the snorkel induction and the snorkel exhaust. Start the diesel engine, so all the foul air gets sucked into the engine room. That takes care of the foul air, and the fresh air then gets pumped around the submarine. It's the only way of refreshing the atmosphere. If you're somewhere where you can surface freely, go up, and if the weather's right, you can open the cruise hatch here, the conning tower hatch, and then the room hatch. Again, start the diesels and draw in the fresh air. And do that for 5 or 6 hours a night, then back down for another 10 or 12 hours. So, very quiet submarines.
Was 12 hours the longest they'd spend in one go? Sorry, 12,
unless
12
something unintentionally happened, but I think every 10 or 12 hours they would do it routinely.
No, before
charge
you
the
said
batteries.
the amount of time they'd spend out in it, was it 12 weeks?
12 weeks, yeah. But I say every day, every 10 or 12 hours they would have to snort and charge the batteries. The batteries wouldn't last that long. I say it's all accommodation from here to the control room. The next mess deck on the passageway, off the base on the left there, is a senior rate, so that's non-commissioned officers, so petty officers, chief petty officers. 16 of them on board, 10 slept in the compartment, the other 6 in the alcove off the passageway through the hatch. And then it's into the officers' territory where there's a dog leg in the passageway, wardroom's there, so 6 officers in the wardroom. And on the right, just before the control room's the captain's cabin. Don't blink, you'll miss it. Basically a broom cupboard with a pull-down wash basin. It's T-shaped, at the length of his bunk and the width of his bunk. You have to reverse to get into it. And the last captain on this submarine was 6'4". So I'll leave it to your imagination how he fitted in the cupboard. But there's a note there, it does tell you it's a captain's cabin, so blink I say and you miss it. So then we'll be into the control room, so you might follow me.
Yeah, that's a smoke alarm.
Just testing it, was I?
Tell you what, you wouldn't want to turn much in the night every time, would you?
No, you wouldn't. That wonderful Sandy was a strange person, you know that's what he was, don't you? Yeah. What'd you hear? That's the wardrobe. It's from years as well, isn't it?
This is the control room, so the captain's command the submarine from here. So just left of the door you came in is the conditions to update the wire guided torpedoes. Updated firing position was put in the control room, so that's in the right hand corner. Navigator's position. Radar office was behind the brown curtain. It's empty because all the equipment was classified when she came out of service. We're under the fin here now, so you've got the attack periscope and the search periscope coming down. If the submarine was on the surface, they would go up to the top of the fin, the navigator and a couple of lookouts will be at the top of the fin there. And this side is about control of the submarine. The panel with the 3 dials and the big valves, this is the blowing panel, so use that to surface the submarine. Black panel with the red lights is the diving panel. Behind me is the engine telegraph. That's the motor room, know what speed and direction the engines will turn in. And a single helmsman position here. Before Ocelot was converted to this, 3 men would be doing this job. One would be steering the submarine on the rudder, another man each would work in the forward and the after hydroplane. So this conversion was really like an aircraft control column, so you push it forward and the submarine goes down on the planes and pull it back, submarine comes up and you turn left and turn right. Man's doing an important job to keep the submarine level, because if you fire the 3 Mark 8 torpedoes from the fore end, that's 4.5 tons leaves the nose of the submarine. It's going to go light, and you don't want to show your nose above the water and just fire torpedoes at somebody. So here we keep it level, and then compensating water will be pumped up fore ends just to bring the submarine through. The autopilot was in the box next to the helmsman. It's how it was when it was in service. Classified from the crew, so they didn't know what course and positions they were being. Trying to be in the records, people know about where they've been, that more information that can be let out. So as we leave the control room, before we get to the engine room, if you look on the right, the first thing you'll see are 2 single toilets. That was for 62 men to use. Next one's got a wash basin, and that was for the officers. And then there's a little recess with a ladder down. That's where you get down to the senior rates wash space, cold and cool rooms. So it's about the only place where you can go down to other compartments on this submarine. And then just before the engine hatch on the right is the 4 little wash basins for the junior rates. So no showers. On the left, just before the hatchway, is the galley where the chefs would be working, 2 chefs, cooking 69 meals 3 times a day. You know, this submarine once went to sea with over 85 people on board. The 3 toilets you see were down to 1 toilet, the other 2 were packed out with food. It was, people were in hammocks in the fore end, so because the logbooks are not declassified, I don't know what she was doing. Quite interesting to know. Yeah. The control room. So, I can just...
This is
You can stand back there, sit on that chair.
Shall I go with it?
Okay.
Put your arm on it.
I mean, her face colour, it's normal face.
Do you mind putting yourself to the lip?
Oh yeah, 2 toilets. 2 toilets, no.
Now what?
Oh, that's horrible.
Oh, that's disgusting. Oh my god, that's the flasher. Is that the flasher?
Where would you wash your hands?
Oh, that's like a hose.
No, look, you put the hose in.
Oh. That's the best. That's for the captain. That's for the
I don't think the captain got his own toilet, it's just 3 toilets.
That's in the officers.
Oh, is it?
Officers.
Oh, they get a special toilet.
Oh my god, if you fell down there. No, that's the stairs down there. No.
What is it? Oh god, put her arm on this, it's just go through on her own.
Oh my god, this is actually quite a nice toilet. Oh, guys,
Is that a toilet?
there's no bar here.
These are just basins, I think.
Mum, there's no bar. That's because there's a bit. Clara just... Clara, it's so big, look. Clara, it's so big you can just go like that. I know, but I can do it like that. Oh, there's no bar in there.
Where's the bar? But take some of these things from home.
So this area is known as the motor room, so the electric motors that drive the submarine are under the deck here. And this alcove, it looks like a power station control, because that's really what it's doing, managing the electricity from the generators to the battery and back to the motors. So they respond to the engine telegraph from the control room to set the speed and direction of turn, but also they're taking 880 volts DC down to a lower voltage and an AC current for the rest of the equipment around the submarine. So they've got mechanical engineers in the engine room, electrical engineers in this part of the submarine. Collectively they're known as stokers in the Navy because they work on the propulsion side of a ship from the days of steamships.